What's up, guys? How is it going? You got Daisha here coming to you live from Amadon, North Dakota. And
Naomi Nye, live from beautiful Miami, Florida. How you guys doing?
man, I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. So in this video, you guys know that we're going to be jumping on here every single Thursday live with you guys just to talk on an important subject. And today we're going to be talking about relationship. What 3 things can make any relationship fail? Right. So with that being said, we put together a little bit of a video for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and play that right now, and we will be back in just a moment.
Why healthy relationships are so important. Humans have an inherent desire to be close to other people, to connect and build relationships. As humans, the relationships we form are vital to our mental and emotional well-being, to our survival. People in healthy relationships tend to listen to each other, communicate openly and without judgment, trust and respect each other, consistently make time for each other, remember details about each other's lives, and engage in healthy activities together.
Various studies have been done on the positive effects a healthy relationship can have on your health and mental well-being. Here are 5 benefits. The first one is less stress. Being in a committed relationship is linked to less production of cortisol, a stress hormone. This is because the support works as a buffer against the stress. The second one is better healing. Having that emotional support will help you recover faster from pain, surgeries, and even illness. The third is healthy behavior. Since you are in better health, you are more inclined to participate in positive behavior, better eating habits, exercising, and even elevated moods. The next is purpose. Being in a loving relationship can give you a sense of well-being and purpose. It feels the need for belonging and being a part of something greater than yourself. And the last one is longer life. One study suggested the lack of social relationship has the same effect on health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Relationships add years onto your life, and they are indispensable to our survival.
And we are back. All right, guys, as you guys start jumping on, make sure to drop a hashtag live in the comments section below. If you are watching the live, drop a hashtag replay. If you are on the replay here today, Facebook user says hashtag live. Facebook user, do me a favor. Right above, there's a link. If you tap on it, it'll give Facebook permission so that we can see your name. So let's go ahead and jump right into this live here. So Naomi, if we had to narrow it down to 3 things that every relationship needs, what would you say they are?
Well, the first thing I would start off with is connection. I mean, if you don't have that connection, you're really not even going to have a relationship. But after you pass that point, the second thing is you need to have trust and support. Without that bond, without that trust, you're not able to build on a relationship and take it any further. And the first thing that is very important is being able to fulfill your partner's needs. Because sometimes what happens is we tend to hold back. Certain things get in the way, and then we don't fulfill these partners' needs. And then there's no way to be able to take that relationship to the next level. As long as I just want to make sure that we're clear on one thing, as long as these needs do not cross your boundaries as a person, that is the most important thing. But, I also want to talk about 3 things that kind of ruin all relationships. And do you want to mention what those 3 things are?
Yeah, for sure. And who else we got jumping on here? Delroy says, hey, hashtag live. Hi, Naomi. Love it. Adele says, hey, Daisha Hanks, great to see you. Keep doing the good work. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. So the 3 things that usually ruin a relationship is fear, right? Fear is one of the first ones. And Naomi's going to take over here and talk a little bit about that. But the second one is lack of self-worth. You guys hear me say it all the time. You have to learn how to love yourself. You hear it from our friend Travell. You got to learn how to love yourself. And the third one is lack of effective communication. So Naomi, when it comes to fear, go ahead and take over that one.
Yeah, well, the thing is that as we learn to grow, we learn to bond from our earlier relationships. And like we've talked about many times before, all of this tends to happen from the ages of 0 to 7 years old. You know, so our first relationships usually start with our parents, and then it goes off there to like friends, schoolmates, teachers, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of times, unfortunately, we don't really get the example that we need in order to develop the relationships that we need to have. And a lot of stuff that, you know, a lot of us don't even know that we develop certain attachment style patterns at this early age, and then we carry them throughout our later relationships in life. And so I wanted to, you know, just clearly talk about those three briefly, not too much, but so you guys can understand, because a lot of us fall into, well, actually, we all fall into one of these three categories. So the first one is secure attachment. Okay. And when you have a secure attachment, that explains it already, right? You were able to have a good relationship with your parents where there was nurturing, there was discipline, there was good communication, but you still were allowed the independence to grow and make mistakes and learn things on your own. So because of this, when you have relationships, you're able to have that closeness, you're able to have that emotional connection, but you're able to allow also your partner that independence. There isn't that jealousy, that clinginess that there is in the other type of relationships. Now, the good thing is that 40 to 50% of us fall into secure attachment styles. Now, I want to tell you guys something else that's pretty funny, because some of y'all are thinking, oh, well, that's good. 50% of the world is secure attachment. So that means I have a 50-50 chance of getting, you know, someone who's securely attached. And the truth is, like, no, guys, securely attached people only connect with securely attached people. That's the kicker. And I think it has to do, once again, because what you and I talk about, you know, the law of attraction and vibration, you know.
Yeah.
So basically, when you don't have those fears, those lower emotions like insecurity, you know, and all that stuff, then your vibration is going to be different. And so now we're going into the second, and I know this one very well because I fell into this one for many, many years, and it's the anxious attachment style.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the problem with this one is that we tend to jump into relationships really quick. Okay, so we don't take any time to evaluate, like, do I have anything in common with this person? Do we have the same values? Do we look at, you know, do we want the same things for the future? We just jump in, and we tend to idealize our partner a little bit, because in a way, since we had that we missed that emotional bond in our childhood, we are carrying it, the same thing in our adult relationships. And so we have that fear, and the same thing that we're fearing is what we're getting, because we push that person away by our jealousy, by our insecurity, by, you know, our constant unhappiness. If we spend too much time with that person, we're unhappy. If we spend too little time with that person, we're unhappy. We never know. We're just never happy. And so it makes it impossible to be in a relationship with us. And then there's the third. And this one to me is the scariest of all, because it's the avoidant. Now, the avoidant, like it says, it will avoid relationships at all costs, because it does not want to experience that huge loss that it experienced in childhood. Okay, so basically, these people see relationships as one thing, as a means to an end. They need to get their needs met, whether it's sex, whether it's some companionship, you know, some communication, whatever. But they see relationships and people as this: if I get close to you, you can hurt me.
Right.
Okay, so as you can see, this is how it can become a big problem. And I want to say one thing to parents. If you guys see anything in this that might relate to you, or you see anything that relates to your children, don't take it personal, because the truth is, none of us were given the memo. Okay, and none of us, did someone give you, oh, here, Data, here's how to communicate now that you're 12 years old, you know, or here's how to have good relationships, right?
They don't even teach you that once you get to an adult stage.
Exactly. So, you know, we're all trying to find our way, and it's basically self-awareness and the willingness to want to do these things, you know?
And I love that you touched on that, because we're all just trying our best. Right? Like, we shouldn't take things personal. One thing that our friend Katie, I'm pretty sure, she talks a lot on is like the innocent child, like treating ourselves as if we were an innocent child. Like, when you do something that you feel wasn't the best thing to do at that time, you were still doing your best. You have to treat yourself like an innocent child and understand that it's okay, and just keep pushing forward. So a couple people did more jumping on here. Facebook user says, hey guys, Facebook user, do me a favor, tap that link. It'll give us permission to be able to see your name and give you a proper shout out. Quentin, what is going on? Hope you're doing awesome. Much love to you as well, brother. So the second one, as we're going into, because you were just talking about fear. So the second one that I want to go ahead and talk about here is the lack of communication. Now, guys, when it comes to communication, it's not just lack of communication, it's lack of effective communication, right? Like that's the real key word right there. Because I feel like a lot of times people are like, no, me and my spouse communicate all the time, but we're still just having this super bad relationship. You two yelling at each other is not effective communication. And I've seen this happen so many times throughout my childhood with my parents, with family members, everything. Like they thought that they were communicating. They thought that they were doing the right thing by raising their voice, but it wasn't getting them anywhere. So when it comes down to communication, it's all about closing your mouth and opening up your ears a little bit, right? When you're trying to talk with someone, when you're communicating with someone, when you're listening to them, you want to listen to actually hear them and not just listen to respond, right? Because a lot of the times when you're in the middle of a confrontation with your spouse, with a friend, with a coworker, with your boss, it doesn't matter what relationship it is, when you're in that confrontation, right? A lot of the times you're just trying to get that next word in, right? You're trying to give validation for you being the one that's right. But if you can kind of take yourself out of that type of situation, right? Of trying to be right and come from a place of understanding what that other person is trying to say, right? It's going to make it a little bit easier for you to get why are they saying this specific thing, right? And then right after that, right, once you've listened to what they are saying, because you are so open, they're going to be a lot more open to listening to what you have to say as well. So here's a little step that I wanted to give you guys in case you ever fall into that place where maybe you're just kind of like in a confrontation with your spouse, your friend, whatever it may be, right? So the first thing, like I said, is just to shut your mouth and open your ears a little bit, right? If you're in the middle of a fight, the quickest thing that you can do is just be quiet, right? Allow that person to get all of their frustration out. A lot of the times people are just throwing all of these words out and they're not even meaning what they are saying, right? So allow your spouse to just completely say everything that they're going to say, right? Fully understand and hear what it is that they are saying to you. And this is what you're going to do for the second step. The second step is for you to say the words, I understand where you're coming from. Now, do you mind if I explain my side of the story as well so you can understand where I was coming from as well, right? Just asking that simple question is going to change that person's state. They're going to be like, whoa, this is different than what usually happens, right? Then you can explain your side of the story. And the last step is just to come to a compromise, right? Come to common ground so that way you guys aren't on two separate sides of it and you guys can have effective communication that can get you to that next step. Facebook user says, great stuff. We'll have to save and listen later. Awesome, awesome. All right, Naomi. So that's basically it for communication. The third one is lack of self-worth. So for you, why do you feel that so many people have such low self-worth? Like, is it something that started out when they were a child? Is it something that kind of develops as they're an adult? What do you feel?
Yeah, well, it goes back to the same thing. A lot of this comes from our life experiences. I mean, we all have temperament. We're all predisposed to certain things, like if we're more sensitive or stuff like that, or we're introverted. But generally, it's really our life experiences. So like, for example, if you were bullied when you were young, or if you were belittled, or you were told that, you weren't enough, or that's not good, or you're always told that you can't do that. I mean, the average teenager has been told 100,000 times, no, you can't. By the time you're 17. So imagine, so that becomes a part of our makeup. So we already develop these insecurities and then we just project them into our relationships, into our work, into anything that we do. And a lot has to do then with the lack of self-worth, because although we want belonging and we want people to love us, but when we don't really have that self-love inside, then we're not either ever fully able to give it or to receive it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to ask you about that saying. So basically the saying is, you think that you can fully love another person until you love yourself? Like, what do you think? You can't fully love another person until you love yourself.
Well, I feel like I agree with that. And the only reason I say that is because when you're not fully loving yourself, you don't fully trust yourself, right? And I don't feel that you can have like a solid relationship without that trust. So if you don't trust yourself, you're going to be putting off that same energy out there, right? If you're judging yourself, putting yourself down, not trusting your own decision, what's going to happen is you're subconsciously now going to do that same thing with your partner, right? So all of a sudden you may start creating these scenarios in your head that aren't even really true. Like for me, I remember when me and my wife first got together, we actually almost broke up because of this. I kept creating scenarios in my head, right? Because past relationships I was cheated on, I was in that state where I was afraid of getting hurt, right? So I was kind of avoiding relationships when I would get close to them. And I would start creating scenarios in my head of my wife cheating on me, right? Just because I didn't trust myself, I had to create some type of situation where I didn't trust her, right? It was just a subconscious reaction. So then I'd be like, well, you're cheating on me. She'd be like, what are you talking about? I never did this. I never did that, blah, 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 whatever, right? So the best thing that I can say is first, learn how to love yourself. Learn how to trust yourself. Be comfortable with yourself, because that's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for you to be in a relationship and naturally love and trust another person as well.
Yeah, and that's a good part of like what you were saying earlier about communication and being authentic, because sometimes we wait. Like, let's say we get our feelings hurt. You know, we had agreed that we were going to have dinner and, you know, you got home late and you didn't even say anything. And it kind of feels like you forgot, and I feel a little hurt. And then a couple of days go by and then it turns into a fight. And I say, well, you ignore me. You don't really care about me. You don't love me. Right. But it didn't start with anger. Anger is a secondary emotion. We need to learn to be vulnerable in relationships and be able to say, hey, am I wrong? Like Daisha said, just so we understand each other. I thought we were going to do this. Did I make a mistake? And very clearly, just express your feelings. Just don't react to the situation, because sometimes we react, and because that little trigger takes place, you know, and it just goes back to our feelings from the past when we don't even know and we're not even associating it. But just sitting down for that second and thinking, wait, I'm not going to react. I'm going to ask, because what we have to ask ourselves is, okay, do I want to be right in this relationship? Or do I want to be happy? Do I want it to work? You know, so
exactly.
Yeah.
No. And Delroy, that's perfect on Delroy's comment too, because this is sometimes it's better to be happy than to be right. Yeah. And I agree with that to a point, right? Like, because your version of right, and Delroy, this is something really important I would say to stick in your head. With your version of right may be different from another person's, right? Like, my version of right is going to be different from Naomi's, right? A serial killer may think that it's right to be able to kill people, but the average person doesn't think that's the right thing to do. So being happy is really coming to common grounds with another person, I would say, right? Yeah. Your version of right may be different, but as long as you agree that you're not going to put each other down for the differences that you might have with whatever it is, right? That's what it really comes down to. So yeah.
So Daisha, let me ask you, so now you're in a good relationship. Now you're aware of all these things, but when you were going through all these, like let's say in the beginning of your relationship, that you were having all these feelings, these insecurities, did you know that it was insecurity that was making you act this way, or what was going on?
I wish I knew. I feel like it would have gotten the process over a lot quicker. No, I definitely wasn't aware. And I think that's what people's biggest problem is they don't know that it's because of the lack of insecurity. So they think that there's something wrong with them, or it's their spouse's fault, or it's my parents' fault for not teaching me the right thing. But really, it's just the lack of self-worth.
Yeah, it is. It is a lack of self-awareness. And so what did you do to change this? What steps did you take?
Well, I think what really helped me with kind of shifting it a little bit was when I got into a better relationship, right? Like once I got into a good relationship, then I started becoming aware of how different it was from my old relationships and how me not loving myself was kind of ruining that. But the biggest thing is it's kind of still a consistent battle. Like there's no like ultimate fix. There's not a button that you can press and be like, oh yeah, now I love myself fully, right? It's going to be a consistent battle because for 20 years, I mean, I was trained to not love myself. I was trained to put myself down. It's 150,000 times that people or kids are told no that they can't by the age of like 7
times by the age of 17, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, 20 years of being told that I can't and that I'm not good enough. It's still a battle that I have to face on a daily basis, but it's worth it, right? Like my relationship has improved. I've loved myself a lot more. I've done stuff for myself a lot more, and my success has grown. So
that's good. And yeah, just to remind everybody that, you know, because you're going through these things, always remember that it's not your fault. Like Daisha was saying, I wish I would have known these things. I wish too, like, I wish like somebody like would have told me, right? Like that would have been so important. Like, this is your attachment style partner. This is your love style. You know, these are your strengths. These are your weaknesses. Or taught us self-awareness, but they don't. And so, but it doesn't mean that you can't, because now we can become aware. And that's the beginning when you start with self-awareness.
So all it comes down to. Now, one last thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Awesome. So one last thing I wanted to mention before we head off into the last segment here is we all run on stories, right? I say it all the time. We're only about 5% conscious throughout the day. And the other 95% is just us running on our subconscious, right? Our programming. We are just all computers, right? So Naomi, what's the best way for someone to start retraining their mind?
Well, I think the first step and the easiest step would be, like we've been talking about earlier before, start asking yourself questions. Like, since we're talking about relationships today, sit down with a piece of paper and ask yourself, really, what does a relationship mean to me? Like, and what do I want from a relationship? Like, what do I want from my partner? What do I want to do? How do I want to be treated? How do I feel? Because we never really sit down and ask ourselves these questions. And you'd be surprised when you start writing things down, how much you start learning and discovering about yourself in the process. And this is how you create change. So I would say, start asking yourself the stories. What stories are you telling yourself? And this you guys can use in relationship to anything else. If you're having a problem in one area of your life, ask yourself, what story am I telling myself? What story do I have with money? What story do I have with relationships? What story do I have with family? And this is how you start with the self-awareness, and this is how you start creating positive change in your life.
Man, I love that you said to write it down, because we have 60,000 thoughts a day. And there was this quote. Yeah, it's insane. And there was this quote that said, it's not really a goal until you get it out of your mind and onto paper. Right. And we can't track 60,000 thoughts, 80,000 thoughts throughout the day. There's just no way for us to do it. So when we personally take it out of our mind and put it down on paper, that's what's really going to create the actual plan where our mind can actually focus on it and continue on. So, Naomi, now you wanted to have a special guest bringing on here, correct?
Yes, I wanted to bring in Finn Kello. He is the co-founder of the Girl Think Foundation. I just sent him a link, and I don't know if you want to show, I guess, the video in the meantime.
Awesome. Yeah, and it looks like Finn is waiting here on the back, so
okay,
I'll go ahead and play the video, and you guys will be on as soon as we come back.
Look guys, thus just now I'm going to show you live that how little children who are working here with their parents.
Hello. Hi, Finn. How are you?
Hey, Naomi. So great to be in your company. Thank you very much for the invitation and for showing some of those footage for the Growth and Thrive Foundation.
No, I'm so glad. My pleasure, and I'm glad that we were able to get on, because I know we have a big time difference and everything. But I wanted to take this opportunity and have you talk a little bit about your foundation. I know that you and Wagas have been working together for a couple of years, so maybe you could explain to everyone what it is that you guys do and what you're about.
Yeah, absolutely. We are called the Grow and Thrive Foundation. We are, an international charity, foundation, whatever you want to call it. Our mission is to bring education, healthcare, social care to some small communities in remote parts of Pakistan, where there's huge amounts of poverty. They don't have access to education. A lot of the children literally start working in that brick factory that you saw in the footage from the age of 3. Wow. In order to help their families survive. And they don't have access to sanitation. They don't have access to. And we're very, very small. We're trying to make more and more people aware. We're looking for people to come on board to help with their skills, maybe help with some small donations, because everything goes directly to Humaira, who works there. And she literally spends every day of her life trying to help these children and their families. So that's a little bit about what we're about. We've been really hit by the coronavirus, and we just want to shine the light on a small part of the world. There's a lot of need all over the world, but this is just our little mission, and our big goal is to build these children a school where they can get some education, because I'm an ex-teacher. Humaira is a teacher. She's a fantastic Montessori teacher. So that's the mission. So we've got a huge mountain to climb, but we're just really, really grateful for any help and assistance we can get.
Yes, and you said that the COVID has hurt you guys a little bit. Is it in getting stuff over there, or is it in funds? How has it impacted you?
Yeah. So essentially, there's been no access to hospitals because they've shut them down. Businesses have shut down, supply chains have shut down, so people can't get access to food. We've got children literally digging in the refuse dumps to sustain themselves. She's got a video of some kids eating grass because they were so hungry. So the distribution of food and so on is just not getting out to these remoter places. And also, they don't have access to technology. They don't have access to information. So they don't really understand what's going on and why. They just get told that you can't work, you can't do this, you can't do that. And there's a lot of fear. Yeah. So getting things over there is really difficult. So what I tend to do, my role is to collect the funds, and I transfer them straight to Humaira, and then she uses them in the local markets to support local businesses, and in turn then buys food, clothes, education equipment for the children.
Well, I honestly want to congratulate you guys on taking on this mission, because it's not only a beautiful mission but needed. And I hope you guys will go to the page. We're going to put the link on the bottom, and you help them out, because as you saw, especially now with everything going on, it's even harder for people to get along and to get what they need. And if we can do anything from our part to help, like they say, giving is what really, really makes us happy and makes us feel good in life. So if you guys,
100%.
There you are.
Hey, Daisha.
Hey. So, and real quick question. So what's the best place for people to be able to get a hold of you, to be able to donate? What's the best place for that?
So if you go to our website, which is www.growandthrivefoundation.org, there is a donation page on our website, and people can just simply donate there. We have a big problem with perception, so people don't want to send money to Pakistan. I'm based in the UK, so the money comes to me, and then I make sure it goes straight to Humaira, who then distributes it in the form of food and medical aid and education. $5 will basically feed a child for easily a week.
Wow,
plus.
Just $5. Yeah. Guys, do me a favor, please go to the website, write in the comments below as soon as we drop it. Donate $5. Come on, $5. I'm literally going to take out my card right now and go donate myself, guys. It's $5. It feeds a kid for a week. That's insane, guys. Yeah. Imagine if just 10 people did $5 this week. All right. So anything else that you wanted to say here, Naomi?
No, I disagree with you 100%. I mean, $5 is just one coffee. Think about it. One coffee will feed a kid in another country for an entire week. So we really appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, we're just really grateful. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And follow us on Facebook. We'll keep you updated with videos and information. We're very, very grateful. Thank you.
We appreciate you so much. All right, guys, I'm going to go and play this video one more time of the kids here just so you guys can see it. Make sure to head over to that website. We'll see you guys soon.
Look,
Take
guys,
care. Thank you.
Just now I'm going to show you live that how little children who are working here with their parents.